I'm going to start my recording on my end as I stall for some time, get some people on here as well. This is I'm doing my dual setup here, looking at the camera at you, looking at the screen over here. All right, we are live. How's it going? It's Nate Mumford, Director of Sales Engineering here. And normally I always say in beautiful White Plains, New York, but you might notice again that I am home here in a little town called Danbury, Connecticut, which is exit 1 here in Connecticut compared to New York, and enjoying the working from home atmosphere. It's what we're all doing. And so we thought that, with all the craziness going on and all these different workflows, we thought we'd host a weekly session here and have essentially a question and answers on the time of remote workflows. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of pieces of RCS software you may have. We want to make sure that we, answer all your questions that you may have or give you some ideas. As I said on the little kind of Facebook Live on Friday, how are you supposed to know how to do something if nobody told you how to do it, right? So here's what I'm going to do for right now. I have an outline that I'm following over here. As I said, this is going to be recorded as well. We'll post this back. It'll be on our Facebook feed as well as other different RCS platforms. If you have any questions, feel free to, hello everybody, feel free to chime in on our comments section as well. We're going to do this twice a week. So I'm thinking we'll do maybe Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, use as a floating. And then Thursday at 11 a.m., our usual time for our Facebook Lives, we'll just have that kind of set. And if you have any questions you want answered, feel free to comment, email us live at rcsworks.com, or, we'll just go through some workflows here and help you out as best we can, right? So kind of like just, we'll be here to answer for any of your questions. That's kind of the goal for us. So first things first, I thought we'd first mention we have a letter from Philippe Generali, our CEO. If you haven't seen that yet, it kind of just talks about how RCS is dealing with the coronavirus and all of that, how we're following CDC guidelines, we're washing our hands and using lotion for our dry knuckles, and all of that good stuff. So if you have any questions in regards to RCS and how we're dealing with this, we have that link for you as well. I'm going to be posting some links. Thank you, John. I do like my mic, right? I'll be honest with you guys. I have kind of, as the engineer in me, I had a closet full of cables, microphones, and everything that for years my wife told me to throw out and never did. And then when we had this home office, I was like, I came prepared. So not only did I set up my home office, I set up her office as well downstairs, which is great. So I'm going to be posting some different links here in the comments section in case you want these for future references. Also check in on the comments section here and there. So again, hello to Michael, saying hello from Radio Inside from Switzerland. Thank you for checking in. And as I said, we'll keep this kind of relaxed and just open. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them as we go along. So first things first, I want to talk about different examples of some of what our clients are doing. There's some great articles here. I'm just going to reference a couple that I know. I've been following along on our Facebook page as well as the Facebook broadcasting group as well. There's a great article here from Radio World with one of our friends, Henrik. And he's over in Denmark talking about how he utilizes Zen-to-Go in his setup. Obviously, every setup is different. What we can do for you is provide the RCS tools so that wherever you're recording with microphone-wise or software-wise, that's the one thing you don't have to worry about, right? We'll make sure you're live and on the air. So, a couple of examples here. I want to kind of talk about what people are doing and all of that. It'd be very helpful if I actually had my Zen-to-Go working over here. Wouldn't that be helpful? Let me cue that up here as I'm loading up. So one of the examples I wanted to give is talking about how people are kind of utilizing Zen-to-Go in different setups. So for example, if you look at our Facebook page, we have Mark from Australia. He's using these mobile rigs. We also have Josue from, let's see here, from Portugal. He's got 20 DJs with Zen-to-Go and RCS News Remote. Josh, there's a great picture of Josh using Zen-to-Go while ordering sushi. I said Henrik, I have right here over in Denmark. And if you have any examples that you want to share with us, things that might be helpful, we are all ears. We love hearing examples of how people are using Selector to Go or Zeta to Go or iPush, RCS, Remote, all of those good products. You can always, again, email us, hashtag all that good stuff, Or if you wanted to, by the way, you can also use the hashtag RCS2Go or hashtag Zeta at home. We'll be following those as well. So first thing I wanted to show you everybody today is we created this here in engineering. Jeff Ziegler created this great document here that, it's right now for internal kind of purposes, but also to kind of show you some different products we have. And we just kind of really very simply wanted to show you visually different products that are remote, what they can do, and kind of their different feature set, if you will. Just want to point out, if you have Selector version 12 or version 15, you can always just use the class examples where you can just remote as a client, VPN in, and have direct, live real-time changes to your database. That's always there too. So if you do have any kind of legacy product from RCS, definitely reach out. More than happy to help out. We had one client who I'm talking with right now, and he had essentially Selector version 15 without linker. He's trying to essentially lay in certain drops here and there for his morning show. And of course, we can't use specific links because there's no linker. So we kind of talked about doing some disabled and slotted. Sorry if it's G-Selector language. We did some kicks in version 15, and that way you can easily just plot those accordingly. So if you do have any kind of legacy products, we're here to help out as well, and all that good stuff. So hello, Megan. How's it going? So let's see here. So different examples. So I have here, these are my different products I have. So we have iPush, RCS Remote for Next Gen Remote Studio, Zen Remote Studio, Selector to Go, Zeta to Go, and Acquira to Go. So very briefly, let's kind of talk about what each one does and how they're available. As I said, I'm going to put some comments here. So if you're viewing this later, I saved some links for everybody. We have a brand new site splash page for everybody. That is remote work at rcsworks.com. So I'm going to post that here right now. That's the first example. And this is essentially kind of a new splash page for users who want to just focus on everything that is RCS remote and RCS to go. And what that means is that essentially, I think I can zoom in here. There we go. So this is essentially a splash page on what you can do, and you can see there's a couple different examples. One of my favorite pictures is from KBLB, who is broadcasting live on July 4th weekend on the lake. That's his setup over there. We talk about different videos and different things that we have, and then how to schedule, control, and acquire to go, as well as Zeta cloud-based disaster recovery. That's all in here. So again, that's the URL. I shared it for everybody right then and there. Other examples here is also the RCS support/help. So for example, if you are an RCS customer, you can log into this with your username and your password. And these are all the help files. Of course, F1 Dynamic Help works throughout all the softwares, but if you need to get something specific, configuring your Selector to Go or something along those lines, we have this great product help file list here to help you out as well. So a lot of tools there. If you have any questions on specific things you want to do, or maybe you want to get geared towards the right location, perhaps you're an engineer and you have multiple clusters you're trying to look into, again, live at rcsworks.com. You can email me directly, or you can go and comment on our Facebook page. We'll be more than happy to address any questions and all of that good stuff. And if you're just tuning in right now, again, we'll be doing this twice a week, probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday at 11 a.m. All those times are Eastern time. So we'll give you updates on those as we go along. Checking in with Radio Inside. Hello, thanks for checking in. So let's go back to this product list, right? So moving left to right, we have essentially iPush. iPush and RCS Remote kind of work entwine. They're our legacy for next-gen products. What those are, they're iOS specific from the App Store. So just be aware, unfortunately for Android right now, these are just for Apple products. iPush and RCS Remote kind of work hand in hand. iPush, think of that as more of you're just creating audio, creating assets and saving it to the library, sending it to your next-gen setup. Whereas RCS Remote, have a little more control. So you can see here, I have essentially simple audio production, voice tracking, real-time start and stop, mode changes. There's some real-time hotkeys and simple log modifications, right? So obviously, take all of these. I just want to point out as our one disclaimer, there are certain workflows here. One of the things we've been having a lot of conversation with is, for example, the word live, so to speak. Live for me could be something different for you. Obviously, you have a workflow, I have a workflow, they're all different. But here's the reality. In the world we live in, we want to go live. The magic of radio is that live could be a voice track after the song is over, or live can be over the air live. What we're trying to do is get you the best quality product on the air as best you can while working remotely with you and your team. There's many ways we can do that. We just have to kind of understand certain situations. So when you can see here, this is very much umbrella type of stuff. Specifically, we can definitely help you out. Like for example, Next Gen Remote Studios. Next Gen Remote Studio is essentially the Next Gen client. We install that on your machine, and we essentially WAN cast all of the data to your regular Next Gen. What that allows you to do is run on Windows. We can do remote audio loading, auditioning, production, simple log voice tracking, and you can see down here a lot more advanced features than that of RCS Remote. Think of this as Next Gen, but just with no on-air sequencer for the most part. And one of the things we did for the coronavirus is we did the same exact thing with Zen Remote Studio. If this is new to you, that's because it is new to you. And let me just see if I can't zoom in here. Do zoom. Let's do maybe 200%, see if that's bigger. Is that better for everybody? I think I should be good. So you can see over here, Zen Remote Studio. Same exact thing as Next Gen Remote Studio. Essentially, it's Zeta client, except that we don't have the on-air sequencer, and that's because of delay purposes. So if you need to have some advanced functionality, we can definitely hook you up with Zeta Remote Studio. It's a brand new package. We also kind of took consideration of the kind of the world we're in right now, and so we kind of priced it accordingly, giving a little bit of a discount for users. So if you're interested in Zeta Remote Studio, again, this is kind of the advanced features of Zeta without the on-air sequencer associated with it. So we would essentially Zcast all of your data back and forth to your main Zeta studio. So if you find yourself doing a lot of advanced functionality like normal module stuff, multi-track editor and stuff like that in Zeta, Zeta Remote Studio might be a really good thing to look at. Want to point out too, by the way, we have a lot of clients who are calling, emailing us in regarding installation times and getting their to-go remote studio set up. If this does pertain to you and it's something you're looking into, I would highly, highly recommend getting in touch with your local RCS sales representative now, just because we have installation time and we have to go and configure all this. So if you do want to jump on it, it's not something you want to sit on, because we want to get you in, get you configured, and get you up and running from home safely. And again, if you're interested in something like this, reach out sooner than later, because we want to make sure we get you on the schedule for installation. So that's Remote Studio. Again, just going through here very briefly, it has Windows, auto loading, simple audio audition, production. Again, very much like Next Gen Remote Studio, except that it's Zeta Remote Studio. Moving on here to, we have Selector to go, and that is essentially going to be our G Selector. We had a lot of questions from users talking about, how they can get that configured. That, by the way, is free, included with your G Selector contract. So many users don't even realize they have it. They're already paying for it. It's included in their contract. You should definitely utilize this. If you're not familiar with Selector to go, definitely poke around and play with it and see if you like it or not. I will say, if you're an older version of G Selector, we did a nice enhancement-rich version. I believe it's 4.7.1. So if you're pre-4.7.1 for G Selector, you might be missing things like linker, clocks, auditioning audio if you're with Zeta. Those are all featured in 4.7.1. Of course, if you have a support contract, all of that upgrade is also, we can do and help you out for that too. It's included in your contract. So if you do have anything previous to 4.7.1 or 4.8.0, that's the current release. That's the one you should definitely be on. That's the latest and greatest. Some really cool things on there, including the multi-attribute segue bands, right? The ones that you can have essentially don't schedule a mood of one into tempo of one. Yeah, that's also in 4.8.0. So that's a great version to be on. There's a G Selector video on our Facebook page. You can take a look at that and look at all the new versions on G Selector. Shout out to John, who's also on here. He was on that video. It's really, really cool. If you're a music scheduling nerd, definitely check that out as well. If you have G Selector and have not utilized your G Selector to go, don't forget over here in the remote capabilities in the age of coronavirus RCS, I believe I did put that on as one of the comments. There is examples here how you can go and actually schedule everything, get that up and running. That's on here as well for you. So if you need to set that up and you don't know how, there's some instructions in here. Otherwise, as I said, contact us. You can call RCS support, who is, by the way, shout out to those guys in support. They are actively filtering all of the remote phone calls from people like you and me who were like, I didn't think I would have to broadcast live remotely, except now that I do. So they've been filtering all those phone calls. So definitely shout out to RCS support, 914-259-4900. That's 914-259-4900. Or, of course, you can email them support@rcsworks.com with any of your questions. They'll be glad to help you out there. So in regards to Selector to Go, again, basic functionality there. It is all of our to-go products are not an app, unlike iPush and RCS Remote, right? Those are the two app ones, but modern day RCS to-go products, they are all not app specific. What that means is they're URLs. So if I go over here to my Zeta to Go, you'll see here, this is my URL, right? It's just my machine name / Zeta to Go. I can type my username and password here for like supervisor, for example, and I can log in. Same thing applies for that over in, in Selector to Go as well, and Acquire to Go too. So Selector to Go, you can do certain things, iOS, Android, Mac, PC, iPhone, Android, all that good stuff. That's all in there. Obviously, Selector to Go doesn't do a lot of audio because that's going to be on the Zeta and Next Gen side. If you do have Zeta integrated, you can definitely hear and preview audio on the G-Selector side of things. From there, you'll see here, this is more of the G-Selector portion of this document. Log modification, changing out songs, scheduling logs rather, different tools that are there. We also have clocks. You can adjust clocks, links, all that good stuff. That's on there. And then on Zeta to Go, again, a lot more functionality, all app-based, just like Acquire to Go. You can see here we do have remote audio loading. I had a question earlier from somebody talking about quick record in Zeta. What you can do is always record voice tracks. That's if you're live into the system. Otherwise, we can use third-party applications or Adobe Audition or something like that. Record your audio, and you can drag and drop that into Zeta to Go. After that, it will sync back up to your regular Zeta, and boom, you're good to go. So as I said beforehand, language terminology. Does quick record exist in Zeta to Go? Technically not, but it doesn't mean you can't record into Zeta to Go, right? There's just different functionalities. So we'll make sure you're aware of that as well. And again, if you need to have some Zeta to Go conversations, I can elaborate more if the comments dictate. Otherwise, there's other videos in there as well. I'm just going through my comments section here. Let's see. Paul was saying, it's a new version. Correct. So Paul was talking about on Facebook, he was saying, is that the video I did for the coronavirus beforehand, that was an alpha build. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a teaser and show you some cool new skins that we were going to debut at NAB this year. But yes, that was an alpha build in there. But for the most part, it's very, very similar. Includes some functionality and all that stuff. But things like rotations, for example, rotations in Zeta to Go, I believe that is still 4.19.2. I believe that's the version that they released over there. So yeah, so I'm assuming, Paul, you're referring to that 1 as a 4, but 4.19.1. So yes, 4.19.1, 4.19.2 is the next version that came out in December. Definitely some enhancements there in regards to some hotkeys, some different Zeta to Go things like rotators, as I said. There's actually a Facebook Live video, Paul, on 4.19.2 new features that was done in December. We did that. So in case you're curious of the differences, that's in 4.19.2. And then just very briefly, I had a great conversation with Dawn Newberry. She is our Acquire specialist. We were just talking about Acquire to Go. I didn't want to forget about that too. Great for sales, by the way, for inputting sales information, just like all the other to-go products, Android, Mac, Windows, all that stuff. And then essentially it gives you some access to preview and attach some content, adjust some schedules as well, real-time contract entry, and remote contract review approval, and asset metadata creation. That's also in there for your sales representatives. So if you are worried about your sales guys and gals working from home, perhaps that's something you want to look into as well. That's Acquire to Go. So and keep going through here. Yep, 419.2. Yep, thanks. Yep, great. Cool. Paul's good. And yeah, so I want to kind of discuss some solutions here. Some things I've seen for the most part from different users, things that you can do. In no particular order, we were talking about one of the big things right now is morning shows. So the concept of how do I get multiple mics into one destination? How do I control it as well? So usually when people come to me, it's because they're missing something that usually is pretty normal and important. So I'm just going to give you a background. So usually what happens is when they get to me, I'm usually the one that, has, hey, I need to drive my car, but I have to skip second gear because if I don't have the budget for the second gear thing or something. So just so you know, some of the examples I'm giving, I'm starting from basic to more advanced. Of course, if you have this pertains to you, we can elaborate more on it. Again, shout out to Brian Willard, head of our FTS team, who his motto has always been that I always appreciate, we'll make it work. That's what we do here at RCS. We'll make it work. So if you got some kind of piece of equipment somewhere that has whatever it is, we'll make it work. For those some stations, very simply speaking, if you have a morning show and let's say you're using a G Selector to go and you want to have a morning show with certain bits, there's multiple microphones. There's definitely some pieces of software out there that you can go and kind of combine and create audio from multiple sources. I will tell you that RCS, as being the innovator in radio software and technology, this is not lost on us. We actually have something. We are designing it right now as we speak. I can't really comment too much on it because it's kind of top secret here. But just so you know, morning shows, multiple microphones into one source. We are working on that as we speak. It is a big priority for us. And that is something that you can expect to hear from us very, very soon. I can't give you an absolute timeline right now, other than the fact that it's definitely on the top of our priority list, and it's farther than you think it is. So hopefully, as these little sessions continue, you can go and hopefully I'll have more updates for you as we can go on. But yes, just so you know, RCS is working on something in regards to having multiple sources going into Zeta to go. With that said, yes, Brian is the best. So anyway, as I said, in case for those who are just tuning in right now, I'm 22 minutes in. It's Nate Mumford. I'm broadcasting live here from my house in Danbury, Connecticut. Normally broadcasting live from our demo room in White Plains, New York. We're going to do these weekly kind of just Q&As of anything I can help out and give you ideas for in regards to remote workflows. So kind of keep it very open. We'll do floating the first half of the week, and then every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we'll do the same exact thing. If you want me to answer questions, you can comment, live.rcsworks.com. If you want to take this in a different path somewhere in there, let me know. I'm very open. I can take this whichever way you would like me to take it, just so you know. So we're talking about workflows. So of course you have the morning show. We're working on this unique piece of software to have multiple mics go into Zeta to go. I'll have information down the road for you. Otherwise, we have a wide range of users. So we have one particular morning show I was talking to. We use the old I kind of call it the FTP remote remote show, if you will. So for example, it's the classic hour 1, segment 1, hour 1, segment 2, so on, and then it's hour 2, segment 1, hour 2, segment 2, right? So I have a lot of that in there. So let's just say if you're thinking very simplistically, you like things on paper, what you could do is you could design your clock structure. Don't forget, in G Selector, duplicate all of your clocks as well. I guess I could open my G Selector up here. Wouldn't that be helpful? And so what you can do essentially is you can duplicate your clocks, duplicate your grids as well. I would highly recommend in G Selector duplicating things, saving as. There's no need to go and redo your work twice after it's all done. Just duplicate it, rename it, have 2 different grids, and then that way when you're done, this all bowls over, you can simply just switch back to your normally scheduled clock structure. So from there, what you can do is essentially have the FTP setup. So you have hour 1, segment 1, hour 1, segment 2, hour 2, segment 1, hour 2, segment 2. You put those in your clock structures. Those are essentially wave files that you're constantly overwriting. If you're a morning show, you have to think about doing it always the break above. So clock structure wise, you'll see there where it's hour 1, segment 1. It could be a 20-minute file followed by a spot block, and then hour 1, segment 2 after the spot block's over. And what you're doing is you're always recording the next break. And with Zeta, you can drag and drop audio into Zeta. If you have an auto import folder with a VPN, you can essentially create, I'll move this over here. If you have a VPN, you can create a public folder somewhere there as well. So you can go and essentially have some type of, overwrite auto import constantly. So the one thing I will recommend doing, it takes a little bit of legwork in the beginning, but it's really, really important for separating your days of the week, especially if a staff that maybe, is not so attention to detail. I would highly recommend what I did for when I had an FTP show. I had a syndicated show at nights. So what I did is I had Monday had its own M1 S1. So Monday 1, segment 1, Monday 1, segment 2, so on and so forth. Then I had Tuesday as T1 S1, T1 S2, and then a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday. Because what that does is you can create multiple assets, and you know that if I need to overwrite a file, if I'm going to save this as M1S1, it's going to overwrite M1S1, not just hour 1, segment 1. So something to think about over there if I wanted to. And so let's see here. I'm just taking my questions here. Going through. The answering Daniel's question, Daniel, we're working on the go live right now. Think of that as just put that in the back burner for right now. If we have updates on that go live, I'll let you know. But for right now, I would just kind of avoid that for right now. And then from there, let's see here. More questions here. We're working on that. Paul and Daniel are working on it, just so you know. And by the way, to show you guys my G Selector here, and that's going to be, I'll just use my demo database, my RCS hot AC, that's here. And then while that loads up over here, of course, I have 8,000 things going, including recording as well. That's why it's taking its sweet time. Let's see here. Well, that's loading up there. Talking about the FTP, we talked about that. And let's see what else I want to talk about. So the next option too, which is very important, is audio routing. Audio routing essentially is, if you think of it this way, and this is especially for audio over IP, what you can do with audio over IP is take your board, your mix down, whatever that may be, and you can essentially go and create a vMix or a virtual mix of whatever the elements are there and then send them somewhere. In this one example, we had a morning show that wanted to kind of re-air their morning show on a sister station, just because it was more topical. In that circumstance, what you can do is you can just create a route through Zeta, right? And that's going to be in Zeta proper, just so you know. So in case you need to access Zeta proper, go to my PC, TeamViewer, ConnectWise, any of that good stuff. Remote in, and you can create that structure. And all you're doing is creating a route. So think of a different route. So if I'm in Studio A, right, that's my route. But if I want to air Studio A in Studio B, what I can do in B is just essentially create that route. And then from there, I have a macro or some kind of command in Zeta where I say either in the schedule log or on a hotkey, change the route to this different source, right? So you could, in theory, take a Studio A source and route it to Studio B if you wanted to. Also, with that being said, a lot of questions regarding macros. You can't necessarily go and equip those macros in Zeta to go. However, what you can do is equip those macros in Zeta proper, and they'll reflect instantly into Zeta itself. So just be aware, if you do have macros that you're working with, you can go over here and then under your hotkeys, any hotkeys you have here is going to respect as well. So just so you know, if you need to work on macros, you can do that through Zeta to go. You just have to first create them in Zeta itself. So that's definitely an option for you guys. So if you're thinking about doing some kind of moving around with certain things, I would definitely encourage you to look at audio routing. Again, if you have audio over IP, it's pretty quick to kind of go combine things and then move them over. And again, I would have some kind of hotkey bank or something where you can just go and boom, you can have all your stuff. And it's right there for engineering. Or Again, don't forget, you can also have organizations, and that's going to be station specific. So you can have certain hotkey banks only geared towards engineers or the regular staff itself. But if you do have any kind of macros, GPIs, GPIOs, you can configure those in Zeta proper, save them to a hotkey bank, and then you can access them from Zeta to Go whenever you want, any given time. That's there too. Let's see here. Paul, feature requests. Noted. I got that. Yep, totally understand. Yeah. Listen, these days, it's the combination's the best part of these days. So what you want to do is you want to have some kind of combination. Paul was saying that he was utilizing some TeamViewer alongside Zeta to Go. That's a great source because you can go and essentially whatever you can do in Zeta to Go, you can control the station, you can manipulate it, you can add audio. But in the end of the day, when you move things around, you need to maybe jump in quickly to TeamViewer, access a change or something, and bounce back. Absolutely. That's there too. All right, so I'm running a little bit out of time here because, as you know, I can talk up the wazoo. So I want to show you some stuff before I forget. So we talked about, just to review here, we talked about some of the products and what they do, just different things. If you have any questions on those, definitely reach out to your local RCS sales representative. We're here to help out, answer any questions. And who knows, you can kind of buzz me right back afterwards. I'm here to help too. There's a great article, friends over at Radio World, talking about some examples over there. I don't want to forget to give a shout out also to Radio Inside as well, who's tuning in. So shout out to you guys too. And then we have this new website we have set up called RCS Remote Work. That's in there too. This is kind of an RCS, just to-go products talking about certain things that are very topical right now. We have the online help files, rcssupport.com/help. So if you have an RCS account, you can access this. That's there for you too. A couple other examples I want to talk about very, very, very briefly. So Zeta to Go, voice track and controlling, morning shows, the audio over IP options with virtual mixes, as well as audio routing. It's a great method to change your sources. Talking about how you can utilize stock clock elements. So again, that's the hour one, segment one, certain newscasts. If you have a morning show, what you want to do is you kind of work ahead. So if at, let's say, 8 o'clock, you record your 8:20 break that airs from 8:20 to 8:30, you can save it. You can drop it into Zeta to Go. There's videos on that too, on the coronavirus video or other Zeta to Go features. You can drop in audio, and that's a way of just kind of working ahead. So again, are you live? The listener thinks so, and you're pretty live in my opinion. So it's the magic of radio, right? Let's see. I'm going through my notes over here. RCS is working on a special tool for multiple mics to go to the same source through Zeta to Go. I'll have updates for you when I get more updates, but I just want you to know that is hopefully coming sooner than later, which is going to be really exciting. If you want to get creative, let us know. Hit us up. We love to get creative with you, just so you know. Let's see. Of course, the Comrex, the Zephyrs, any kind of ISDN that you might have to utilize. I know I saw that great Dave Chappelle meme in the broadcast group about who's got those Comrex lying around. Don't forget, you can also trigger boards with GPIs, GPIOs. You can't, I saw somewhere you control the fader on one of these pieces of software, but one of the workarounds that I thought of is if you have a board, right? If you have a digital board with a board setting, so let's just say it's a Nate setting versus, I'm going to steal Josh because I saw he just logged in, versus a Josh setting, right? You could have Josh's board setup with the pot on and up. Mine can be the pot off and down. Right? So I'm not really necessarily controlling the fader as much as I'm switching the board profile, which then enables the fader to be up and on. And you, again, can create that with Zeta to Go. Back in Zeta proper, use your macros to go and create a macro. Take that macro, assign it to a hotkey. Once it's assigned to a hotkey, you can fire it from Zeta to Go. That's how you control macros from Zeta to Go. Thank you, Paul. Yes. Keep sharing your stories, just so you know. Spread the wealth. We're all here. You know how engineering is. You might think of something that works and all of a sudden it takes flight. So if you have your stories, you can share it. We're starting the hashtag RCS to go and hashtag Zeta at home feel free to share on those. Jose, that's. I'm telling you, the multi-mic thing, it's coming down. I can tell you that I've seen it. It looks good. We're just tweaking it right now. Hopefully, I'll have more information for you down the road. And again, older systems, I'm talking about to-go products here. We kind of reintroduced this whole RCS remote and iPush again. It's been a while, but people are using it. It's working great. So if you have a legacy product, we absolutely have workarounds for you as well to make sure you're working from home. And again, here too, with all of us here at RCS, is we want you to be safe. That's the goal here. Working from home, self-quarantine, social distancing, all of that good stuff. Let's be honest, we're here to help out. It's radio. That's what radio does. We're community-driven. And however we can get you there safely as possible, that's also our mutual goal. So do not hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns you have. We will get you an answer. And again, as Brian puts it, we will make it work. That's the answer. Couple shout outs I want to make here. Yes, I've been following along on certain groups as well as, just looking at some more Facebook pictures that we've been posting from people. Mark from Australia, Jose from Portugal, Josh, well, he's using Zeta to go ordering sushi. Henrik, I keep saying Henrik. If you have examples, send them to us. We'll be glad to share them. Shout outs to Richard Berry, who was jokingly, as I was getting ready to design this twice a week Facebook group, went on Facebook and said, hey, it'd be great if you have some live videos. There you go, Richard. Kudos to give a shout out to Tom and RCS Support for hosting the conversation on the Broadcasting Club. Lenny, Rick, Jarrett, Jack, Anita, Nicholas, all on Facebook sharing their stories as well. We are definitely following those along and sharing them accordingly, so it's all very, very helpful. Again, I'll post some links there for you in case you want them. Hashtag Love Radio. Absolutely, we can do that hashtag too. So what do you say we call it for today? I've been talking for 37 minutes. And we'll just readdress this again back on Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be here being live. I'll have hopefully more examples for you. Otherwise, we'll just go back and talk about more some to-go things and all of that good stuff. So, again, be safe out there. Do your social distancing and your self-quarantining, all of that good stuff. Be well. Questions, live at rcsworks.com. You can email me directly. You can comment, share your stories, hashtag love radio, hashtag RCS to go, hashtag Zed at home. And we'll talk to you again on Thursday at 11 a.m. Prepare for my delightful delay of the end live video. I'll see you then. Be safe. Bye-bye.